Welcome to Dr. Jester Talks, and I'm gonna talk about something that interesting that happened the last 2 days, in fact. First and foremost, initially was at the beginning. Yeah, you know what, let me go into details later. First and foremost, let me introduce the video. I'm gonna talk about this, the Moskva sinking Slava cruiser, class cruiser. Anyway, first and foremost, Moskva actually means Moscow. Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? They actually changed the name of the first ship of the line, which was Slava, to Moskva. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, right. Now I remember where I was. A couple of days ago, 2 days in fact, we received reports that the ship actually got hit by 2 missiles. Initially, it was a conflicting information, but since Ukraine came out first with that, the Russians then said, "Oh no! It's just a fire. It's nothing more. It's an internal fire." It shows that if it was really a fire, they wouldn't even have announced it to begin with. But fine, I didn't believe it a sign yet because, you know, war tend to get a lot of propaganda, especially with Russia. Let's just leave it at that. And then in the morning, I kept reading, and it said that Russia tried to either move the ship with its own power to Sevastopol, or to tow it. It was unclear based on the information that the shitty Russians were giving. Oh my god, I feel like sneezing. Anyway, and then more or less during the rest of the day, it came out that they actually got sunk. In fact, the confirmation was because Russia likes to tend to hide the bad stuff that they do, or the bad stuff that happens to them. They actually announce it's sunk. So if they admitted something bad, it means it actually did happen. And now it's still not 100% confirmed that the ship actually got hit by 2 Neptune missiles. I'm gonna go into that missile later. But what we still don't know, but what it's confirmed is that he actually sunk. It's a crew of about 510 sailors. It seems a lot died. Most apparently evacuated from the ship, and the other part were actually picked up by Turkish Coast Guard. And apparently Romania also confirmed that the ship did actually sink. So that's actually a good news, because this is a huge win for Ukraine and their morale. Anyway, this image here I picked up because it's actually very low quality because of pixelation or whatever. Why is it better when I actually do this? It makes no sense. Oh, I think I know why. Let me just try and fix this. Let's see if this works. Yes, it worked! Much better. Anyway, they have 64. These ones are the actual anti-air surface-to-air missiles. That means the actual missiles used to shoot down aircraft. This is a generation lower than the usual stuff that Russia has, which is the S-400. And this is the stuff that actually Ukraine also has. So it's not top of the line for the Russians, but still not bad in itself. They have 2 anti-submarine rockets, so that means torpedoes, yes, anti-aircraft guns, so AAs. You know, remember those movies or the footages of World War II where the airplane is going flying, and suddenly the plane starts shaking, and lots of black clouds on the sky. Yeah, it's those things. Anti-ship missiles, so they get 16, which is these tubes over here. And if the Russians were actually competent, these missiles would not be activated and they would be relatively safe and things like that. But either the fucking way, it does paint one picture. Either we believe Russia and it means that the sailors there on the ship were absolutely incompetent, as in Russian incompetence, or we believe Ukraine, which is Ukrainian competence. One of these things, or maybe both of these things, because it could be that the sailors on this lava ship didn't actually properly lock the ammunitions or properly close doors and things like that, because you need to maintain the doors closed most of the time, especially in combat areas, because if there is a hit or something like that, those compartments will actually stop the ship from going down. Yeah. Or if you properly store your ammunition, well, then again, I'm thinking of the T-70 72s, which sucks in ammunition storage, and a hit on nearby, it causes the ammunition to explode and the turret to fly. Yes, that's why the tank turret flying up in the air is a very Russian thing, because they don't have much safety in that regard. So, well, assuming the design is safe, properly done, a properly stored ammunition will actually keep the ship safe. If there's a fire on board, a properly closed door will keep the stuff from cooking up and exploding and things like that. So maybe it was both things. Russian incompetence and Ukrainian competence. Anyway, they have a helicopter to fly, probably to look out for submarines, because the helicopter they use actually has a radar antenna pointing down, and sonar and other stuff that they can actually drop and pick up and things like that. Anyway, they actually have short-range surface-to-air missiles. Those are usually for when everything else fails on this one. So they release those. And they have torpedo tubes. Yeah, and that's about it. It's if you're going to look at it, it's not a bad ship by itself, but everything with Russia as of late, it's they actually sold it as a Wunderwaffen. But it turns out that it was absolutely kind of shitty. The Indians were actually kind of true when they said that, I'm paraphrasing here, that the Russians sell you something, and once you get the item, it's pretty much a Chinese knockoff. Crap. Anyway, this is more or less the position that the ship was. Here is the Snake Island. In fact, this ship was the one responsible for the Snake Island shelling, and the ship that received the message, "Go fuck yourself," in Russian. Turns out this was some of the people that was present in Snake Island actually did survive. Some, not all of them. Some did actually get killed. But the ones that survived received the medal. Anyway, this is the ship, and they technically if the Russian account is true, it means they did actually get fucked. Anyway, right. Initially, when the ship began to get sunk, people were actually confirming, because there was a lot of tug ships from Crimea getting near where the location of the ship was. So that was quite telling for the people maintaining this stuff and all that. It's attention, and it brought attention. Anyway, this is an older picture. Once again, this one I got it from the Aviationist, like the previous one, but it's from Naval Graphics. Anyway, it is a sideways view with an actual image. Here it is, the antenna. Well, not the antenna, it's the radar dash for the S-300. The missiles, the anti-missile... Shit on a pickle, the anti-air missiles. Jesus Christ, English, pay attention! as you can see, it has its stuff. It's definitely not, looking at it, at the numbers, it's not bad, but once you put it to practice, it's not the greatest thing around. It's not a bad ship, based on the numbers, but once put into practice, it's kind of a pretty shitty, because it's a very, very old ship. And with that being said, oh shit, did I actually put it? Okay, going out of it. Yeah, right. Anyway, it's a very old ship, but no, technically it's an old ship, but in the maritime aspects, it's not the oldest thing around. There are older ships around, but it received massive upgrades. This is stop, you little shit. Anyway. They were planning to make this amount of ships. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 ships all around. They managed to get 4. One of those 4s never actually got finished. This one is in reduced numbers, which is supposed to be Cherkova, Ukraine. It didn't actually go much. It's limited. And apparently there's this one, so basically this one got sunk. So now they only have basically 1. Ha! So that's about it. And the thing is, this is not easily replaceable, like those shitty T-72 tanks. These are ships that Russia has no ability to build anymore. If you know, they kind of lost the ability to build big, large, massive ships once they lost Ukraine. Yeah? So, they're fucked. There's no way to replace those large ships. Now I wonder if, was it the Admiral Kuznetsov, which is the sole Russian aircraft carrier in the Black Sea? If it is, can somebody actually leak the location of the ship to the Ukrainians? I'm pretty sure they'll be interested. Anyway, it is the missile that did the deed. The missile that was proven to be actually a very good morale booster. The Neptune from Ukraine. In fact, it's an upgraded Russian missile, well, Soviet-based missile. This one, let's see if I know. Don't see money. From this one. Yeah. And they actually have a radar back at the tip. I'm gonna go into details soon enough. Anyway, this is the missile that did the deed. Apparently, it was launched based on the rumors that we actually have. Where is the image? Ah, found it. Apparently, it was released back in near or around Odessa. And released from a truck. It is a ground-based missile that you launch from the coast into a ship. Anyway, let's see if there's no doxing. Right. Here. Oh. There you go. Here it is, the truck that they use. There you go. They park those trucks and the thingy is on the side so it doesn't move the truck once it's released because of the kickback, and off it goes. Anyway, what was I? Right. These missiles are absolutely subsonic, so they will release and they will use INS, Inertial Navigation System. It's actually also has GPS, I think, but it's mostly INS. You put the location more or less at the direction it wants to fly, and it will fly skipping very, very low under the sea, going, and then once it reaches the ship, it goes up, and then it turns on the radar to seek for the target, to actually analyze, etc., and then it goes and hits right below the kill line. Well, not the kill, but here is the ship, here is the seawater. It will hit right around here. So, It actually maximizes the amount of water the ship will receive. And it has 150 kilograms, or about 300 something, over 300 pounds of warhead. Here, the radar is right around here. The radar on it itself is only turned on at the last part of the flight. As you can see here, there is like an extra fin over here, right around at the very bottom. What you can see there with a very skinny thingy, like a skinny tail, that's another missile. But as you can see, there's like extra rocket. That one is the initial boost of the missile for when it leaves the truck. Then it turns on its inertial, its built-in propulsion system. Anyway, it's a very interesting missile because they actually use the cover of the night. They actually also used the absolute storm that was having there as a cover, apparently. Or they used, because it was rainy, apparently cloudy or something like that, they may actually have also used a UAV flying around the ship to give the missile its last location, so it could actually be steered through to the ship, or at least before the missile was launched. Still not quite clear how that was achieved. I don't think we'll know until this war is over, but quite frankly, and I'll be honest, this is an amazing victory for Ukraine. Let's see if I'm forgetting something of importance. Ah, right. Here is some other basic information. Anyway, draft it's 10 meters, so that's more or less the hole under the water. Displacement 9.8 tons. Oh, by the way, 11.300 tons full load. So it's probably around that weight when it was sunk. It's the heaviest ship to sink since the Falkland War, which is kind of like a battleship-ish, a heavy cruiser, if you will. From Argentinians, that sunk because the British actually released a torpedo and sunk it. They were told multiple times not to get near the British fleet. You get what you fucking deserve, Argentinians. Anyway, maximum speed 332 knots, 7,000 miles range. It's not that much, really. I've seen ships with better range, but then again, if you saw how often the Kuznetsov actually pumps out black smoke and breaks down and needs refueling, it's a relatively good range based on Russian ships, because the ranges suck at best. Power output 9,000 horsepower, complement 680. I think the complement here may refer to crew, but I think this number may be not quite accurate. Either way, it's fascinating how they managed to actually do it. I hope we get more good news like that. Yeah, anyway, I think that's about it, what I wanted to cover about the Moskva ship. What could possibly happen? This is a big, massive, negative stuff against the Russians. So, PR-wise, this is bad for them, and they are all about appearances. And apparently there are reports that Russia really did begin shelling the Kiev during the night, in the early mornings, in fact, in Kiev. There is not much details after that, but it was one of the biggest explosions since the war began. And Russia may end up using other methods to actually enact revenge based over the ship, which in fact ends up proving the Ukrainian claim that it was actually sunk by an anti-ship missile, the Neptune. Based on the reaction that Russia does, we'll see how truthful it is. Because if Russia lashes out heavily, like they are doing, it's evidence. that it was actually sunk by an Ukrainian missile. Well, 2 missiles. Interesting, right? There are reports that Russia may end up using low tactical nukes, but that's just a report or comments that if Russia's feeling desperate enough. But I don't put weight onto those claims because I don't think they're going to use any of those things, especially for a ship. Either way. On that goddamn fucking hell, have a great fucking night.